Thanks, Steve. Thanks a lot for that. Now let's go to a little bit of the fan interaction part of the show. We like to call Wesports. Our first question comes from Jay Anthony at Matt Cuvelli. And he asked, well, this is a question for you, Ty. Mm-hmm. If the Bears season continues to go on a downward trajectory, who takes the blame at the end of the season? Whose head is on the guillotine? Who gets their pink slip, Ty?
Well, for those who need the insight, it seems like he's a Vikings fan, proud Vikings fan. At the moment, Bears facing a 10-0 deficit before they pulled out. But, long story short, heads got to roll, man. Chicago fans are wishing for the days when we finished 10-6. We're wishing for the days where we had a defense. The Bears went from allowing 17 points a game, the number 3 defensive team in points allowed 2 years under Lovie Smith, to allowing 31 a game under Mel Tucker, and that's the first one that's got to go. We've seen Trestman's offense last year. We know it can work. We know this defense won't work. We're going back to the days where we miss Devin Hester, great returns, great schemes on special teams. Joe DeCamillis, your name's not out there that much because you're a special teams coordinator, but, special teams at this point, a lot of people call special teams.
I know this is a touchy and dear subject to your heart, but let me give you one name. Phil Emery.
Ooh.
General manager, Phil Emery. I think his head needs to be on the guillotine because I don't think he has supplied the right defensive players that they need for them to be successful. When you think about the Bears, you think about the monsters of the Midway, having Dick Butkus and all the other great defensive players that they had, Michael Singletary, that they always have had, Brian Urlacher and such. Phil Emery is the first one that has to go, and I think the next one has to be Mr. Trestman himself. I don't think that he's the right coach for this team. I was looking at the play calling that they was doing against the Vikings. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't it like a 4th and 2? He did a quarterback sweep to the left.
With Matt Forte as running back?
Yeah, with Matt Forte as running back. He did a quarterback sweep with Jay Cutler. That has to say a lot. So I think him, Trestman, Phil Emery, I think their heads might be on the guillotine.
Let's move on to our next question. This one is from Joe Nelson on Facebook. What's up, Joe? Looks like he's talking about that new Carsmell playoff system. First of all, he liked 8 teams, and his question is, if Marshall wins out and doesn't get a shot at playing for a championship, then is it a flawed system? Should all unbeaten teams get an automatic bid?
All teams are not created equal.
Fact.
And that's a fact. Even though that Marshall has Rakeem Cato and he's put up great numbers this year, if Marshall had the same schedule as someone like Mississippi State, Alabama, Florida State, Oregon, I definitely believe that they would not be undefeated. So I don't believe that they are a top 4 playoff team. Should they be ranked in the top 25? Of course they should be. But should they be in the playoffs? No, not at all.
Echo your sentiment. All teams are not created equal. Even if they had some Big Ten schedules, they wouldn't run the tables.
So we got another question here on Twitter from Uncle Theo.
Oh, Theo.
And he asked first contention, what do you make of the Wisconsin win against Nebraska? And what is your take with the upcoming matchup against the Gophers?
First of all, let me echo the sentiments of the great LaDainian Tomlinson himself. That kid, Melvin Gordon, is bad. He broke the NCAA rushing record in a single game in 3 quarters. So this man could have ran for half 1,000 in the duration of the game, but they did not bring him out for the 4th. This was an amazing game with Dak Prescott kind of taking that hit after this weekend. You got to throw Melvin Gordon into the pot. Wisconsin, we know what they are. They're going to get off the bus running like these old school Lovie Smith teams. But one thing they do is they put up numbers. Great game for Gordon, and we saw what Barrett did to Minnesota. They're going to have to shore up that defense.
You know what? What Melvin Gordon did was that he just give him the Heisman right now. He ran for a quarter of a mile against Nebraska on this past Saturday. Just think about that. He ran for a quarter of a mile against Nebraska yesterday in only 3 quarters. And now after Nebraska has faced Melvin Gordon, what they have to do? They have to lick their wounds. They have to get ready for another bruising back in David Cobb. David Cobb is coming to Nebraska. So good luck with that. And I definitely think that Minnesota is going to win this one on the road against Nebraska.
We have our resident Minnesota former captain, Steve. What are your thoughts? What do you think about Wisconsin's game and their oncoming matchup with the Gophers?
Now, of course, you know me. former captain of the Minnesota Golden Gophers, I am ecstatic about that matchup at the end of the year, Minnesota versus Wisconsin. Granted, I'm a little skeptical because of what Wisconsin just did in Nebraska, but I still think we have a shot. I mean, the way that Wisconsin took apart Nebraska as far as the run game, we're kind of built in that same mode. Our quarterback is not that consistent, but our run game is great. Our defense is great. And we seem to play up in those big moments. We played a good game against Ohio State, so that kind of gives me a little more added bonus as far as how I feel about the last 2 games of the season. And if we win against Nebraska and Wisconsin is still, 8-2, 9-2 at that game, that's going to be a huge game, huge stipulations, especially because that will be 4 trophies for the University of Minnesota to get back. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that plays out. As a former captain, as a former Gopher, go Gophers, I will be there, and I'm looking forward to that. Also, one last thing to note, the social media moment of the week, guys. I don't know if you've seen this picture, but we're going to make sure that you get a look at this. Take a look at this guy, Filipino basketball player, Ogie Menor. This guy just went to his barber and said, give me the best thing that's going to shut down the club. He got a lizard. Yeah, that's right, a lizard. Hair trimmed into his head. It looks like a live lizard on his head. He's playing basketball with a lizard on his head. That's got to be hilarious. That's the best haircut I've ever seen. That's better than the mohawk. That's better than the flat tops. We'll see how many more people come up with these crazy designs in their haircut, especially because in the NBA and basketball, everybody's trying to show off something, show their swag, show their style. Now that, I'll give you 10 points for your swag style for doing that lizard haircut. But back to you guys.
Thanks, Steve. And I'm pretty sure that you probably win with another Gophers win, too, as well. So,
Sky Yuma.
Sky Yuma.
That does it for us here on First Contention, folks. We appreciate you watching. But don't forget, like the video, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and hey, while you're at it, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, send us your questions here at the show. We'll answer them live. Don't forget to use the hashtag Wesports. For Stephen Davis, for
Marvin Banks, and for Ty Woe, Sosina, this is First Contention, signing off.
Trays up.